A not very neighborly Witchmas. Things turned ugly the moment we moved in. I'm not sure what it was about our new neighbor that drove my mother nuts. After all, we'd lived in any number of small towns over the years when Coven life forced us to relocate at the drop of a badly timed spell or two. But no one set my mother off like Mary Kirkpatrick. Miriam, I heard Erica, Mom's Coven second and best friend, say our very first morning as she joined us in our new driveway. "Look, how friendly." They waved back to the woman hustling her way across the street, everything about her screaming prim and proper housewife. The woman huffed to a stop in front of us, green eyes scanning Mom like a fast-paced Xerox before she pasted on a wide smile. "Oh, how lovely," she said in a simpering voice. "New across the streeters." She grabbed Mom's hand and began to shake it while I watched my mother's face tighten under her smile. "So happy to have you in our close little community." She winked at Mom. "Very close." Could be a problem, especially considering the entire coven moved with us, almost 100 people. No way we were going unnoticed. I suppressed a sigh and promised myself not to get too comfortable. Not like I ever really did. "Mary Kirkpatrick," the woman gushed. Miriam Hayle. Was that an edge to Mom's voice? She'd dealt with worse. What was her problem? "My daughter, Sydlynn." I offered a half-hearted finger flicker. "Erica Plower." I had to give her credit. Erica recognized the same fuse in Mom and tried to guide the neighbor away, but Mary seemed fixated. My mother was striking, to say the least. Tall, black hair down her back and shining curls, perfect porcelain skin and eyes so blue they could rival the sky. Not that Mary Kirkpatrick wasn't pretty, but Mom was a knockout. There were times I was jealous of her myself. From that moment on, the mere mention of Mary Kirkpatrick's name roused a teeth-grinding, vein-popping, eye-narrowing response in my mom. It was Halloween, this one memorable, mostly because of Mrs. Kirkpatrick and her house. It was one of those classic styles, 3 stories all in pale yellow with gingerbread trim and a perfect lawn. But it wasn't her house as such catching the notice of everyone in town, but how she decorated it. The entire place was decked, from the cutesy spiders dancing from each peak to the impressive reenactment of the witch scene from Macbeth in the front lawn to the glaring shades of yellow and black painted in alternating stripes down the length of the driveway. The night of the big holiday, hers was the busiest house in town, the sound of creepy music and cackling a perfect counterpoint to the decorative vision that was the Kirkpatrick residence. Despite the fact our coven didn't celebrate Halloween per se, Mom was still okay with my little sister Mira and I going out trick-or-treating. Besides, it was the one day of the year my sister was able to go outside without disguising her red skin and cute little black horns, or the fact her eyes glowed demon amber, a byproduct of our father's heritage I was thankfully spared. As I donned my requisite witch costume, trying not to feel too obvious and embarrassed by it, Mom banged on my door. "Hurry up," she said. "Your sister and I are waiting." Since when did Mom go out for Halloween? Since she wanted to check out Mrs. Kirkpatrick, of course. A giant knot formed in my stomach as we crossed the street and up the drive to the entry. The moment the door swung open at our knock, I knew trouble was only a matter of time. Mrs. Kirkpatrick was dressed as a witch. Not just any witch, a full-blown hat and robe, wart on her fake nose witch. Mom's power clenched. I felt it along our connection. Correction. Every single member of our coven felt it along the connection as the family magic simmered in answer to her anger. "Hello, my pretties!" Mary did a fair imitation of a cackle. I'd give her that. I'm not sure if Mrs. Kirkpatrick knew Mom didn't like her, or if she just didn't care, but she happily deposited 2 full-size candy bars, 2 cans of soda, and 2 real-sized bags of chips into our open pillowcases. "There you are, pretties," she said, before her eyes met Mom's. I may not have been sure before, but I was then. Mary Kirkpatrick knew exactly what Mom thought of her, and the feeling was mutual. I hoped the dual animosity would just go away. When Mom led us stomping home, slamming the front door behind her, I prayed she would just stay away from the neighbors like she always did, and we could at least have a few months of peace. Things settled down a little for the next several weeks or so, and I was beginning to think I'd overreacted. Mom went about her coven leader stuff while the rest of the family settled. I almost had myself convinced we'd be staying a while when Thanksgiving rolled around. It was as if Mary Kirkpatrick had an illness. The moment the holiday arrived, she was outside, ordering her husband around. I caught Mom glaring across the street as the Kirkpatrick home transformed from its normal perfectness to a winter wonderland extraordinaire. I'd never seen such Christmas decor in my entire life. If I thought the Macbeth scene was spectacular, it paled next to the skating children on the fake pond of plastic over a real puddle of water, so it looked like ice. The layers upon layers of lights and garland and candy canes and ribbon festooning the house, the yard, the driveway, spilling out onto the street in one giant thematic happy holidays not a soul for miles around could miss. There were times I had to drag Mom from the window before she did something truly unfortunate to the Kirkpatricks. It didn't help Graham found the entire process fascinating. My damaged grandmother, the victim of an enemy coven attack years ago, didn't exactly have control over all of her marbles. She loved to look out at the evolution of Christmas going on across the street and cackle to herself as though it was the funniest thing she'd ever seen. Imagine my nervousness when I arrived home from school 2 weeks before Christmas to find Mom in the front yard looking up at our house. "Mom," I touched her arm just as she turned around with burning need in her eyes. "Sid," she said, voice vibrating. "Come." Oh boy. If Mary Kirkpatrick was ill, Mom was possessed. In one trip, she cleaned out every decoration left in the entire county. She waited to act on her new treasures until my Uncle Frank woke for the night, his undead girlfriend Sunny at his side, emerging from their matching cupboards as the sun went down. "You're not busy tonight, are you?" Mom grasped my handsome uncle's arm, not even allowing him a moment to slurp down a bag of blood before she had him out on the lawn, talking fast in his ear while he grinned wider and wider before laughing out loud. "You want to what?" Mom was so mad he didn't laugh again. In fact, when she was done hissing at him, he looked really pale. A big leap for a vampire. For the next 3 nights, Mom cracked a whip of her own as she ordered Uncle Frank and a handful of other coven men around. I'm positive she used magic. Positive. But Mom was always careful to hide it, so I had no proof. My silver Persian emerged one crisp evening to have a look. Sassafras, his demon soul trapped inside the body of a cat, slowly blinked his amber eyes, thick tail twitching before he turned a half circle and looked across the street at the Kirkpatricks. "Your mother," he said softly to me, "has lost her mind." I had to agree with him there. It wasn't until the 3rd evening Mary emerged to come have a look. My heart sank as I stood back and had a real honest study of my house. My mother was a lot of things. A powerful coven leader, a brilliant witch, the master of all 5 elements, and unparalleled in magic. But when it came to anything domestic, I'm not sure what Mom was going for, but creepy and ugly probably wasn't it. If the guys loaded any more lights on the 2 trees out front, they would have collapsed and burst into flames. Mom wasn't able to get all one color, so green and blue and red mixed with white, not in a nice way. In a, I don't know what I'm doing and I'm possibly stoned way. Her attempt to create a jolly snowman welcoming people into our yard made me want to duck and run for cover. I was sure the local kids would have nightmares. And the thick red and white ribbon wrapping around the house didn't create the candy cane look she was going for. To me, it looked more like the place had some kind of terminal disease. Instead of gloating, as I expected she would, Mrs. Kirkpatrick came to stand beside Mom with a smile. "Lovely, dear," she said. "Just lovely." Mom beamed back. "It is, isn't it?" "Seriously? Was she that deluded?" "A perfect addition to our town Christmas party," Mary said. "Christmas party? Uh-oh." "Really?" Mom turned to her immediately. "When?" "The evening after next." Mary dimpled at Mom before mock frowning. "Right here on our street." "Oh my, did I fail to mention it to you before now?" There was the vein and the jaw clench. "We're delighted," Mom said. "Right. Delighted. Wait, what was this wee stuff?" "Excellent," Mary simpered. "Don't forget to enter our little cookie bake-off." Mom's face lit up like she was a Christmas tree. "Cookie bake-off?" "Yes, of course." Mary leaned in with a whisper loud enough the whole street heard her. "A friendly competition between neighbors." Oh my swear word.